Welcome to the Mary Mater Marvel Society Agatha All Along review. Grab your familiars and join us down the road. I am not a Mater, but I might be a witch. But I am cousin of Mater, Davan. And with me, as always, here at the MMMS, we want you, is Jaemeel. What's up, Jaemeel?
Um, the road may be long and weary, but thankfully, with my coven beside me, I know we can make it through the road.
Well put. Like I don't have anything better to top that, Davin. But I'm excited.
You're
to be
the
here.
Mater. You don't have to have anything.
I am the designated Mater as it is tonight, and I just will sit back and I will answer the questions I am asked and ponder the issues and the forthcomings. And you and the kitty there in command.
My familiar Lulu.
Yes, you're familiar.
Lulu. She's like, get me out of this cat body. She hasn't always been a cat. It's fine. Yeah. Go ahead.
Agatha All Along, everybody. That's what we're
Yep.
here to talk about. Exciting. This is one of the, three things that's come out this year, major MCU things. No, Jaemeel, Venom doesn't count or whatever is out these days.
Say four, technically.
And the Craven and whatever else is happening over there in those Sony
What if
films.
counts? So that would be four.
What if is a different story.
And X-Men was better than all of it, and so that counts.
And X-Men came out this year too, but Agatha All Along, I think, is the best thing I've seen this year.
Did you see X-Men 97?
I saw X-Men 97. I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and
oh yeah. Wow, that's high praise then, because those were both great.
I think Agatha's maybe got some more interesting episodes here that I really enjoyed, and that overall, as a TV experience, I thought it was pretty good. As a mini series or whatever, however you want to classify this, right? Not quite a movie. It's a different pace and format and storytelling, and the way they kind of use the sets and everything. And I enjoyed this series. I think that this cast was strong. The writing was good. The production was good. It's very different than a lot of the other MCU properties, which I like. I love the diversity across the different properties, and I think that this one had. I think Agatha was an interesting character in this series overall. I'm just spilling my guts here, I guess. I'm
let's say you, Jaemeel.
Okay. Where to start with this? So initially, people were saying they did not want this. Who is this for? It made no sense.
They say that about everything.
They do say
who wants this? I'm like, I like these Marvel characters actually. But yeah, exactly.
So the original concept of how it was described was this was supposed to be a TV show musical, which immediately I was like, this is for me. Thank you.
They made this.
Secondly, I actually enjoyed the character of Agatha from WandaVision, and even the tone of WandaVision as well. So a continuation of this, even if it is a spin-off, interests me, regardless of where it would go. The cast, the names that popped up, I was very excited to see. And it had a lot of the brain trust from WandaVision as well. So to me, it seemed like a no-brainer that this seemed to be good. Now, we just came off previous to this series. The last Disney Plus Marvel series seemed to have had all the makings of a good show. Its showrunner was the showrunner and creator of Mr. Robot. The cast looked extremely stellar, and initial tones gave the impression that we were going to see something special, but Secret Invasion was not that. I also believe, for the most part, when people talked about this series, I was trying to keep a level head about it, and I am very happy to say that what I got out of this series was one of the best experiences that Marvel has done overall.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, for me, all these glowing things you guys are saying were true sometimes. For me, it was slow to get started. Like the first episode, I had trouble not getting tired. The first episode was a little bit like I know it was supposed to be a bit of a red herring sort of thing. Like it's supposed to throw you off. It's like it's not this cop show that they were doing for like an episode, but that episode just didn't really land for me. Even the next couple episodes didn't really land until they were like every episode got better than the previous one, I would say, right up until the big Patty Lupone episode, which was probably the best of the whole show. Like that timey-wimey one, that was superbly well written. Like for timey-wimey episodes, that one was tight. Like
I think that's tight. I agree with you. I think that's my favorite episode of this.
So good.
And there's a lot of strong episodes in the show, and I think, but that one in particular does stand out as like, this one you should like nominate like for an award for just how they crafted it, editing alone, and how like that's sort of all put together.
In the episode. Where like for me, it felt like the whole episode was them dressed in like rock and roll clothes, playing down the road. Like it felt like the whole episode. So that one, the one where they were like in rock and roll gear.
The fire trial.
Episode. Yeah, I didn't really care for that episode. So like it was a bit hit or miss for me, but overall, I did love it. The acting was really good. Casting was really good. I mean, sometimes it helped with like some of the more boring episodes, I think, but overall it was quite good. I'm not big on musicals, but like I don't think it really was a musical. There was just music. That's one song sometimes, and sometimes they overdid it with that song. Like by the end, had already heard that song like 5 times, and they just played it forever and ever and ever. And so it was maybe a bit much, but whatever. Those are nitpicks. It was really good. I mean, I know I didn't like it as much as X-Men 97 and Deadpool and Wolverine.
Bro,
but
okay, Davan. What is it? Comparison is the thief of joy, as someone said.
I'm not removing any joy. I enjoyed this show, but Dave was saying how he liked it potentially better than those. I'm just saying.
I think we can all agree we liked it better than Echo.
Yeah, I liked Echo.
Look, yes. But I don't compare the two. To me, Echo is something different.
Is it?
Well, I think we can compare Marvel TV shows for what they are. I mean, they can be different. They're all different, but we can compare
in the sense that they're different characters, but they're set in the same universe, and you're basically giving the same format of like about, I don't know, like 4 to 8 or 5 to 8 episodes or something like, or 10 maybe.
This one was longer than Echo, I think.
This was longer than Echo, but it was better. It was also better. The cast, the production, just like it was more interesting. It was more connected to the main universe. Or
set up things too.
It was just more engaging.
Echo's more connected to Daredevil and Hawkeye than it is to
Kingpin, and I know. Well, that's all Marvel though. It's all connected.
But this is not necessarily. If I watch this and then I watch Shang-Chi, right? It doesn't really have a connective thing as a comparison to this and WandaVision.
Everything needs Wong. That's the connective tissue. But he could have fit into this actually. But
did you hear that they wanted to get Madison?
I did hear
we're involved in this. Madison. Oh, that would have been.
She would have been great actually. Her instead of even like she could have been the Deborah Jo Roop character. She could have.
Although I like her, I like her a lot.
Yeah, I do
like her. Am I supposed to know this song?
But then she's singing it with them. Eventually.
Well, at that point, how hard is it to remember the chorus?
It's a repetitive song
and sing down.
Down.
But for me, if we're gonna draw that little comparison because they came with this year, Echo and this had the same kind of drawback for me, which was they were both slow to get going. But by the end, I really liked both of them.
Was it slow?
Yeah, maybe it wasn't for you, but for me it was. Like until it got into like the really witchy stuff, like the build up. Like I knew everything anyway. There was no mystery of who the guy was. It was definitely Billy.
You knew?
Like yes, of course.
Dude,
like
I didn't know. I was surprised.
It's for Dave. So like, Davan, it's for Dave.
Okay, that's for Dave. So like for me, a lot of those things
So
Like it's like we're watching X-Men Evolution right now over on X-Rated. They keep keeping Magneto in shadows, so you just see his helmet. I'm like, what's the point of that? For one, you see his helmet, and two, everyone knows who Magneto is anyway. Like the let's keep it away, like keep it a secret until the end stuff was just kind of annoying.
Remember the Stan Lee philosophy that everybody's comic book could be their first comic book,
Yeah,
and you're
sure.
always introducing a
look
new
at
audience.
that, Dave, busting out lines. I just feel like the interesting part of teens' identity being a mystery is more for the characters not knowing and to the reveal of why they don't know, right? Other than that, it's an absolutely useless situation that occurs. So Davan, I agree with you in that respect, but in terms of they at least made it important to the characters as to why it's not known.
I
That's
wanted
the
to
only-
see Tommy too, quite frankly.
Well, you did kind
I
of.
wanted to get them to get that little band back together. Like that's another like thing withheld I didn't really care for. Like,
Really?
tell me it's
I like-
Billy. Let him find his brother. That's the show. That's what that show should have been, really. I mean, otherwise, it's just this like sort of redemption of Agatha, and
Is
now
it a redemption?
spiritual. Well, it's what it is. It's like spiritually connecting her to Billy. So now, whenever they have Billy in something, you get the star power of Catherine Hahn as well, because she'll always be attached to him now. She'll be like part of his powers. He'll like talk to her, and she'll help him do magic and that sort of thing, which is an interesting way to take that character. I find that actually kind of funny.
I feel like this whole series really it adds a dimension to the Agatha character, and like rewatching WandaVision before doing this had like this additional the reasoning for Agatha's character in WandaVision is even more interesting and just compelling.
Oh yeah.
See, like because basically you have Agatha running into this individual who created life, right? And she is just amazed and astounded by all the different witches she's seen for hundreds of years. She's never met someone with that ability, and she's just extremely curious and just determined to, get back what she lost. So the motivations make sense, and her reaction too. She isn't as bad as it seems, and she's not as good as we might think of her at the end of this series.
I know we're at the 13-minute mark. Do we have to? I think spoilers is implied at this point, right?
Well, yes, we already just obliterated the crap out of that. Yeah, I mean, it's been the show's been out for like a while now, so no worries there. I don't think.
Yeah, this is a spoiler review, so
review.
In case you were wondering if we're going to break it up into sections, we're not. We're just going to dive into it, which is good. And I think there's a lot to break down with this show. Like it's Catherine Hahn, I think, really strong, but I think this Agatha character, I think she makes it work. I was watching the Assembled. They're like, this was a pretty obscure character from the Marvel archives, and it kind of became more than what was on the page. As the avid comic book reader, guys, maybe you can tell me if you would agree with that or not. But
well, yeah, I mean, she's around the Avengers. She was a lot in like the 70s and 80s. She trained Scarlet Witch on how to be a witch,
which in a sense she did in WandaVision.
She's an old lady in like it's like comic book Aunt May. She's like super old lady.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, she's kind of minor character, but shows up in things.
My minor like nitpicks with this show would include the big reveal here at the end, where we find out that the road, it's a big con. She's been running it since her kid died or whatever, and and the same thing every time. She recruits these suckers. She gets them to sing the song. She says, "What? You guys suck. You're the most terrible witches ever." And they're like, huh? And then she just berates them until they blast her. And I'm like, in all that time, not one of them just went, nah, I'm just gonna walk away.
They did.
Who?
So it doesn't matter who, because that witch is probably long gone. But like the reputation is there that Agatha is a covenantless witch. right? It would make no sense for any coven to pair up with her, right? The road leads to destruction. All those things have come out of people either surviving or people adjacent to them surviving.
Nobody survived.
No, no one you've seen has survived.
No one survived. So that means everybody took the bait. Everybody blasted her. She sucked all their magic and their life out of them. Every single time she did it. She did it many times, as we see in the montage. And I was just like,
But she doesn't do it every time, though.
Not one pacifist.
She doesn't do it every time.
What would she have done if she?
I'll show you why I have that belief. When Teen asks her about the road, what is her initial reaction? No, we're not doing it. Right?
She says it's fake.
Huh?
She says it's fake.
She's telling the truth.
Right. Yeah.
So that means she doesn't do it all the time.
That's why she sends him away, because she knows he won't be, when they do it. Okay, here's my question. If you boil it down, the Deborah Jo Rupp character, Mrs. Hart, right? She sings the song with them, right? And then if the doors hadn't opened there and they had gone down and all that stuff that happened after that hadn't happened, like she was planning to, she wouldn't have been able to blast Agatha with any kind of power, right? She's not a witch. So what would have happened to her? She just would have went, I'm going to go home.
Yeah, she would have died. Everyone else would have died, and she would have went home.
Okay. And what about Sashir Zameda's character?
Jennifer Kale. She's the coolest character from the comics that's in this.
Yeah, she was a very cool character in this show.
She was. Jennifer Kale's awesome, and I like the way she played her. I'm all about. She'll be in Midnight Suns. She'll be around a lot.
Sashir Zameda
with Man Thing.
Sashir Zameda from Saturday Night Live of many years. I know her from that mostly. She was good. She was pretty strong in this. Like the whole cast. What's her name? Debbie Lamont. Is that her name?
What?
Patty
LaPone.
Patty LaPone. Yeah.
Okay.
LaPone. Yeah.
I think we did not see her best performance in this TV show. Right? Her best performances was on the interview tour with Aubrey Plaza. If you watched any of that content that she did, Hot Ones, like various interviews, she was fantastic. People love her from those interviews and then watch the show.
Right. Well, I just learned about her. She's like from the original Evita. She's like the original Les Miserables, whatever stage performances. Like she's a Broadway legend. I wasn't really familiar with her before this show, and so I just watched her in the show as like, okay, like she's just another part of this story. I'm not starstruck by her or whatever, because I didn't really know who she was.
And what's your thoughts about her?
Like that episode, like we said, was my favorite. Like the one that featured her the most. The Earth trial with the swords on the.
I'm telling you right now, she's getting nominated for an Emmy for that.
I think so. I think that's the one they're going for. They were going to submit for an Emmy. They would go on that episode. I think.
Yes, she's going to win the best, the first acting award for a Marvel property, Marvel TV property.
Could be, yeah. Like, okay, so maybe back to this Billy thing. Like, I thought that was good. Like, that was quite the reveal. I was like, oh, he didn't just disappear, because we heard at the end of WandaVision where she's got that book of the dead or whatever it is,
the Darkhold.
The Darkhold, right? And we can hear the kids and they're screaming. They're like, "Mom, help us!" And she's like, "I'm cut," and then her eyes open up, right? And then that's like cuts to black, right? And that was like the teaser ending of WandaVision. So it was like, okay, they're going to eventually bring us back to those, Billy and Tommy characters. And then we got that crap we got in Doctor Strange 2 there, where we're getting like these alternate dimension versions or whatever, and that's not what we want. That's the original characters from that particular WandaVision. I was the most interested in seeing if they would come back to them, and they do, and they did it in a pretty interesting way, I think. Here, now they didn't find Tommy, which I thought was kind of like disappointing. Huh? They just referenced that he's out there.
No, they put Tommy into a body.
Yeah, they put Tommy into a body.
Yeah, what? So they found him and they put him in a body.
They did?
Yeah, dude.
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't find him. They found his soul.
They
or
found
whatever,
his
floating
essence
around,
and they put him into a body.
Yeah, they put him.
Wait,
into
did he
it,
run
like
really
some
fast around?
The kid that drowned. No, you didn't get to see it. They got to go look for him now.
Okay. So is he like an undead guy? Is that what's
He's
going
They're
on?
the same
fictions
as-
anyway. They weren't real kids. She invented them. Like,
But in the alternate dimension, they were real.
no, they weren't.
they
She
weren't.
invented them.
In that dimension too?
Yeah,
Yes.
but she kept the kids.
How?
Well,
There are multiverses where they existed, but not in
Oh,
hers. She created them in hers.
And
like-
yeah, in hers, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like there
But
was
in the 838, in that universe, they were also created. They weren't
That's-
born.
that's why it's a multiverse of madness. It makes no sense. We can't even follow any of this madness and like who's a real version and who's a fictional version and who's
It's
evil.
all fiction, Dave. It's
All fiction, but then like sometimes they're good and it gets confusing. And I don't know.
So what do you guys think of the sets in the road specifically? I know I saw an artist friend on Facebook suggest that she's like, I'm watching Agatha All Along, and other than the actors' contracts, this show must have cost hundreds of dollars to make.
Great. I loved it. I loved it. I don't know if that was meant to be a knock on the show or
I think it was, yes.
Yeah.
really.
I think they thought it looked amateur but it was supposed to, because
Yeah.
eventually you see through the veneer of it and it's a construct, right? And it's supposed to not look perfect, I think, in some ways, because that part where Rio jumps through like the
No, she literally cuts the set and walks right through it.
right,
It's
and then
great.
you start to go, wait, this isn't very real. This is more like
He is not as powerful as his mother, who basically created like matter out of nothing. So is Davan going to do his review in musical form?
perhaps.
So Billy making it into a set, right, makes more sense. Like, for example, Scarlet Witch's set was like an actual TV studio, right? When she was looking at the reality that she created, looking back at her past. Whereas for what we see in this, it's like a stage musical, like a play, like a high school play.
You know, fellas, the
Yeah.
road reminded me of another place.
What's that?
Well, I'm going to tell you about it. Drifting ever forward neath this tattered sail, lying low with barrels of oil and India pale. Foggy night obscures the sight of jagged rocks around. Drop sail and row that land, behold. Do you hear that siren sound? Oh, down, down, down the cove, down in Mater's Cove. We're down, down, down the cove, down in Mater's Cove. Going down, down, down the cove, down in Mater's Cove. Hide that skull and bone, a place but not a home. The cove is wild and wicked, with docks of rotted wood, where a pirate hangs on sight, but until then his business is good. Too many miles for gallows trials, so keep your hat brim low. Show no fear, ashore appears, toss the anchor and go. Down, down, down the cove, down the Mater's Cove. Down, down, down the cove, down the Mater's Cove. We're going down, down, down the cove, down the Mater's Cove. Oh, hide the skull and bones, a place but not a home.
Wow, Davan, that was very good. Excellent, sir. Good job. Down the cove, down in Mater's Cove. That's a
Down
new
the
song.
cove. It's a real
That's like-
place.
That's
But
a,
not
that's
a
a
home.
hit. That's a #1 hit, I think. Down at Meter Scope at least. Mahone Bay, they will love that song.
They will.
Watch out.
They'll think it's slander and hunt me down, but I'm ready.
Yeah.
I will. After this, honey, come here.
The Skull and Bones down in Mater's Cove.
You guys met Moana of Matanui?
Hello. Dude, have you
It's
been
the
down
heart
to
of Tafiti.
Aha.
Shiny.
Got the
She's
power.
keeping it. She's not going to return it. I asked her if she's returning the heart. She said no.
No, it's got the power of the rock.
Yeah. Power of Maui.
Yeah. The people's champion here.
Yes.
So
Look at that big bow. Might tired.
So,
did
Yes.
yes, this
musical interlude, just like Agatha All Along. Hey.
Yes.
I think that's a good segue because I think that the song's place in this show is like I think I'd heard this song before. This is a real song, right? They brought in for this. It wasn't me.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
It's just-
No, this
think
wasn't
we-
like a.
No,
No, they made it up just for the show.
yeah.
they made it up for the show.
It never had been like I thought it was like a real like.
No.
uh,
That was just something they brought into the show as well.
The background song like itself, and they adapted into to fit their own purposes. Is what you're saying?
Oh yeah, it's written by the Lopez's. Okay, yeah, I thought for some reason I felt like it's well, I guess it's because like the song was recorded by what's her name's mom, right? The Blood Witch's mom. And,
Lorna Wu.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that that her mom had recorded the most popular cover of it or whatever on vinyl, so I was like, oh, maybe that's like a reference to somebody real, but no. So it's fictional. I was fooled by that too.
It's for Dave. It's for you, Dave.
It's
You know?
Happy Mary right there. He's okay.
That's right.
So, okay, which version, Dave, did you enjoy the most?
I enjoyed, I think, the one.
I'm going to put my point down for Gregorian chant version myself.
Is that the first one they do?
Yeah.
You think that's
That's the
Gregorian?
best one.
I would probably go for that one in the recording studio, the Fire Trial, like the rock version that they did.
So not the one the mother did, but the one they did as a reference to what the mother did.
Yes.
The one the mother did gets a little too country for me at times. Like,
Okay,
it's not the best.
I don't mind a little country.
Maybe a little country. You got a little country in you.
He's a little bit country and a a little bit rock and roll.
Yeah.
Country.
Yeah, I'm a little mixture.
I will agree. There's just something very powerful about the chant version.
It's a Halloween show.
I think the legacy of this show will be that song. That song will outlive everything that they've done.
What about that one we got in the opening, the first episode with
the TV show, the procedural theme song?
Yeah, the procedural TV cop show or whatever it was, Down the Witch's Road. It's like that's the first version we get, in the whole show.
Yes,
and I was
not the first one we've ever heard, because technically, when they previewed the show at Disney Day, at D23, they played the chant version first. So.
Yeah. Which version did you like better?
Edith can hear you guys now. Hey, Edith, did you like the witch show? You watched some of it. Did you like the witch show?
Yes.
What was your favorite part?
What's your favorite part? Yeah.
Yes.
You like the magic?
And iguanas.
Oh, Moana's better.
She likes Moana.
That's true. Are you excited for Moana 2?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it comes out 4 days before your birthday.
Don't worry, there'll be a Moana 3 too.
I hope so. I love Moana. It's my favorite Disney movie.
Of all?
Yeah.
That's saying something.
She watches it all the time, and every time I'm like, this is great.
That's great. Davan, I'm so happy that you enjoy the show that you get to see repeatedly.
Daddy,
Yeah, exactly.
Daddy.
Yes,
There's
honey?
some of the stuff I watched with Eamon that's still embedded in my mind.
And what is that?
SpongeBob, a lot of Dora the Explorer, Diego. There's different things, but those are the ones that really kind of pop out. I'll never unsee those things. The Wiggles. Have you seen the Wiggles?
My niece loved Frozen, so Frozen will always be a major part. She kind of hit her Disney peak with Frozen 2, but she was old enough to kind of see the cracks in the armor. So, for example, the song "See Yourself," I think it's called "See Yourself,"
Yes.
which is supposed to be like the high point of the movie. The singing, we joke about it still. So there's a part where there's runs that Idina Menzel does, so we constantly joke about it. So I'll go, "Ah," and she'll reply back like the echo in the cave from Frozen 2. So yes, that's our connective tissue with Disney.
That's how.
Lucky for me, Edith doesn't seem to like Frozen.
No, doesn't like them all.
Yeah, it's not your
Would you like to build a snowman?
No,
No.
she wants to go. She's more of an island type.
Well, you're welcome.
Bye.
But yeah, Agatha All Along. What can I say? I'm stoked about Jennifer Kale going forward.
Daddy.
Yes, honey.
Can I hear everybody again?
Oh, you want to hear everybody again?
Okay, no worries. You're excited about seeing what they do with Jennifer Kale again.
Yes, Jennifer Kale.
Yeah, the great thing about this cast, it seems that all of them. I love this casting where we don't need A-list celebrities in these shows.
Everybody.
Right? You can see quality individuals, performers who are fantastic in their role, right? And seem really keen on bringing performances that aren't ego driven, or I'm playing this character who is based on me that I'm changing so that I can just be me and have action figures made. These characters really take these actors really take this time to make these characters. So you're absolutely right regarding the Jennifer Kale character, and they're bringing these individuals to life, and there's an excitement with these individuals going forward. Can't wait to see her again.
Well, yeah, I think.
What do you guys think of Aubrey Plaza as Death?
I don't know. It was not 100% for me. I think it's maybe the weaker part of the show for me in some ways. I think it's not my favorite. I like Aubrey Plaza a lot overall. I was saying, I like Aubrey Plaza a lot overall in most of the stuff she does, and she's good in this. But I think that the way that it's not really her. It's more like this idea,
the portrayal of the character.
This idea of this character. I was like, what do you mean you're Death, and what exactly does that mean, and why do you have this thing with Agatha? I wasn't quite clear on all of that from watching it.
She just seemed insanely underpowered to be the entity we know as Death in the Marvel Comics universe. Like she's one of the most powerful things. Like, just being in the room, she could just make everybody die if she wanted to.
But I thought Hera was like the goddess of death or whatever, and wasn't she?
Not in Marvel.
Not Hera.
Hela, you mean?
Hela, I mean, yeah.
She's the Asgardian have their own version of everything.
Yes.
But no, she's the very entity of death. Like, if you die, you go there, or you see her, or if she can claim your soul if she wants to, kind of thing, into her realm.
I think this plays into the whose lens are we seeing this show through, and we're shown it through Agatha's point of view, right? So Agatha sees death a lot differently than Thanos would see death, or other characters like Ghost Rider and other characters. So I don't necessarily believe that she's underpowered. I think it's just a once again situation where this is her point of view and how she is very familiar with death and what death shows her.
I guess maybe underpowered isn't even it. I mean, maybe that too, but it's also the degree in which she involves herself in lesser things
Yeah.
seemed
I-
odd to me. It's
that
just
I
like,
agree
why
with.
is she here again? It's like, if she's death, what is she doing here, like, ever, other than to, like,
Well,
take
what is
someone
her,
away?
what does she get out of her relationship with Agatha exactly, other than Agatha kills
lots
people?
and lots of souls.
But lots of people.
Yeah,
She gives
lots
them
of
souls?
witches' souls, because she keeps, like, killing witches.
And what does she do with the witches' souls?
Well, witches' souls are probably a little more valuable to her. They're probably just powerful, come with some, I don't know, who knows. But yeah, she was giving her lots of witches' souls, and that made her a favorite.
That's the part of just the reveal of who she is at the end. I'm like, okay,
Like, that's why she likes Deadpool in the Marvel Comics universe, because he just murders people constantly, so she likes him.
I guess
Otherwise,
if
she
you're,
should like Thanos, but she spurns him. And that
but
makes him
she's
great.
supernatural, right? Like,
Beyond supernatural. She's a cosmic entity. Like, she's like up there, like more powerful than Galactus, or in like all of that stuff. You know.
So
what I mean?
just
Like,
imagine, Dave, in the entity room, I guess would be the best term to say. In Love and Thunder, you saw various images of statues, and Beyonder was there. Death was also there as a statue. That's the level, right? The like minor quibbles is Thanos and Celestials, right? Those are minor quibbles to the individuals with supreme power, like unthinkable, like are
right. Well,
conceptually we can't really know all that they.
Like, part of the fabric of the universe itself.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to remove death, like, the universe would crumble. She's an intricate part of it, of the whole thing. you
okay,
know?
maybe I need to back up to explain my reasoning or my line of thinking here, because if I like, the one thing I've been really enjoyed about the MCU is that they've gone through this effort to, not necessarily always adapt exactly how it is in the comic books, to try to make it maybe more real world. Maybe the most specific example I put onto that is Thor, going back to that original thing. No, they're not gods. They're actually like beings from another realm/planet, and they've come down to
Dimension.
Earth over time, and they dimension, whatever, pocket universe, however you want to declare it. But it was kind of like they're more like aliens, right? Who have like basically like a science and whatever. And and then when Doctor Strange came along, it was like, well, magic's more, you're just tapping into these other dimensional energies, and you have this ability to manipulate it that seems like magic and spells, but it's actually more, you're channeling energy, and you're kind of manipulating it and weaponizing it in certain ways. And therefore I was like, oh, and then they brought in these Celestials, who I still think of as like aliens, and basically everything can be explained in a scientific way, not necessarily in a spiritual / God way. The only exception being, I guess for me, was like in the fact that they did a soul stone in the Infinity Gauntlet, and they're sort of saying, okay, no, people have souls. There is sort of an afterlife, and it's not completely atheist in its sort of approach to reality. It's like Star Trek would be, right? Like Star Trek doesn't really, mostly try to say that the universe was created by a god or something like that.
But why would God need a starship though?
Well, exactly, he doesn't. So there is no, because he
But,
wasn't
like,
God.
That same line of thinking though can still apply to what you just talked about, right? A soul is just energy, right? And then once it leaves its corporeal form, it is directed to another realm of existence. It's you can have someone who channels that energy directly there instead. Or let's say there is a tool like a soul stone that can channel that energy into different forms or interact with it in different ways, right? So it's just a matter of how you want to approach the question. Some people don't necessarily want to see or care to see about the sausage and how it's made. They just want to eat the hot dog in some respects.
Well, in the Marvel universe, there's these things called the Sky Fathers. So, like, every religion across like every planet has a Sky Father, or like their god, right? And they're all basically considered on the same tier level. Death is way above them.
But my big point here is, just because it is such a way in the comic book does not mean it's necessarily that's how they're interpreting it or executing it in this particular universe, which has its own rules now that I hope that I just want them to stay consistent with, I guess, overall. When you're creating like a shared universe, which is one of the things I really like about the MCU overall, is like you're not going to sort of change directions just because no, this is this kind of show or it's this kind of show, that you have to sort of or
I disagree, Dave.
If you well, why?
Because I care more about a story being told well versus it like the idea.
Canon, Jaemeel. No, just kidding. I'm probably with you on this one, Dave.
The reason why I say this, Dave, is because the idea of the Marvel MCU being just the same, right? The same mold to execute different stories is boring to me. I like the idea of it being different because the people who are presenting the story are different. So Edgar Wright has different storytelling methods than the Russo brothers do, right? Joe Johnson doing Captain America, the First Avenger, is a lot different than the Russos doing, Winter Soldier, right? It's the same character, but
I don't think that's what he's really saying, though.
He's kind of
I think what he's saying is like if one director does Captain America the way he was done in the Winter Soldier, and then another director has Captain America shoot laser beams out of his eyes, like maybe that's inconsistent. You're the one climbing on me, turd face. All right.
What I mean is,
well, it's not even so much the director. It's like the director but you have to stay within the rules of the universe.
Yes and no. Like to a point. If death is shown as being this grandiose entity in Thor, right? But being more of a familiar in Agatha, I can live with that because the lens in terms of how they interact with that character.
Well, it bugs me a bit. I think I have a different perspective on it. Because I feel like there's a reason they didn't get Edgar Wright to do Ant-Man because he wanted to do a very different version of that. And they were like,
we got a less experience because of that, in my opinion.
I think it was the right move for the MCU to do that at the time, and I think get paid in whatever his name is to make his version of it that maybe is not as like an out there kind of movie as Edgar Wright would have made, but it doesn't mean I think it's the right thing overall. I don't know what movie he was going to make exactly, clearly, but they were like, it's not really with the vision of what we're trying to do here. I think you can have different tones in these properties, and some can be R-rated and some can be PG and whatever, and then you bring them together. But I think that, I guess when it comes down to fundamentals of like, is this a supernatural world? Is this a more science-based world? I guess that's just my own personal hang-up. I'm not saying anybody else needs to think this way, but that's what I'm sort of looking for, I guess.
I just can live in a world where Daredevil walks home after a night with She-Hulk with his shoes in hands versus and also in the same universe be the dark and dangerous Hell's Kitchen vigilante that everyone's scared of. Like,
that's Marvel Comics at its best, to be able to do both of those things.
I can live with that.
Like when we met all those gods in Thor and Love and Thunder, right? Like, what are they exactly?
They're the Sky Fathers,
and they're just alien.
So like, as Jaemeel was saying, how like there's this, you could call it whatever you want, a soul, like the vital energy you have that dissipates as you die, whatever. That's directed somewhere. If you are of a certain alien species, or even in the Marvel universe, sometimes of a particular religious denomination, it directs that energy to those places. So like you could they're like intercepting death almost, right? So death doesn't really like the Sky Fathers and all that kind of thing. Yeah, hi, honey. That's Steady. Yeah.
You're like a gigantic jungle gym, folks. If you're not watching the video of this, you're missing out. Honestly,
it's quick.
She's a good climber.
Yeah. Just see her pop out on one side and then she goes on the other side.
Your phone. Yeah. Anyway, so, but if you're not being claimed by something like this, like say, like an Asgardian, for an example, like Odin usually gets that. It's like the Odin Force. It's made up of like all the dead or like souls of the past dead Asgardian warriors and that kind of stuff. So that is how it works in the Marvel Universe. They can still do that in the MCU, but Death is just like above all that. She's more powerful than all that. You know, if she wanted to, she could like kill Odin and take his energy. But it's just not the way she works, because she's like this cosmic entity, and she doesn't have these like low key, petty desires like that. It's just like she's a part of the universe and like kind of accepts her part in it and plays that part.
So, Davan, with that being said, did you find her? So, is that the issue you have? And I guess that kind of connects to what Dave is saying in terms of her characterization in this, with how she is interacting with Agatha. Understanding that, yes, Agatha is claiming a lot of wishes for her, but at the same time, it seems pretty beneath her to get so involved with such a minor individual.
Yeah, to like be, but to even like whatever, she can play favorites. She has her favorites and her people she chooses to interact with in the comics too. Fine. Agatha's one of those people. Fine. They even have a relationship. Weird, but fine. Not out of the realm of things. That's what Thanos was trying to have with Death all this time, and Deadpool sort of claimed he did. So like that's all fine. It's just like the amount of time she spent kind of just like venturing with them on the road and that sort of stuff. It's just like
She was bored that day.
like
Well,
I don't know.
time could run differently for her in the grand scheme of things. Like, how much time did she actually spend? So we see her kind of see Agatha in this trap state, right? She attacks Agatha in the second episode.
That
Right?
was my phone.
She appears out of nowhere in episode 4 after
She gets summoned as the Green Witch, but she turns out that's just
I was she summoned, or like did she just show up on a whim? Kind
You
of.
don't summon Death.
Yeah.
Like
I think she's like.
I think they no, like I think Agatha was trying to do whatever she was doing, and then it didn't work, and then I think Death's just like, yeah, no, I'll just show up now and I'll pretend to be this way, just to mess with you some more. That seems to be what we're led to believe is the relationship.
She was there for a trial. Sorry, she was there for what? One trial, right? She was there
Two?
for one trial,
One or two, yeah.
right?
I think,
And
one,
then
one, I think.
she left until the very end.
Okay, and
So was she there very long, or is
she was there in the cop world too in the first episode. Like she shows up as this like other cop and stuff.
she's the one who helps her
like,
get out, like partly get out of it, right? Like,
I don't know. It just didn't quite work for me. I just like she's supposed to be such this unapproachable kind of entity, and like the Death. I would say I prefer it
though too at the same time, because
she knows the road. Seen everything a gajillion times.
The road doesn't exist, and all of a sudden the road is created, right? Especially one that's tied to someone that she's so familiar with in terms of Agatha. I can see, like, once again, Dave Davan, a lot of this is just me, doing backflips to make it fit into in terms of your criticism. Your criticism is valid. I'm not trying to say it isn't, right? That's just how my mind works in terms of you having a criticism and me dealing with it personally.
well, I guess it's not even for me as much a criticism as something I'm just left confused by, or like I'm like, why, or like like it's just I'm not in terms of I want to have a good time. I'm not there not to have a good time, so have a good time. The sun don't shine every day, as they say, but I think that at the end here, where Death, Agatha sacrifices herself finally, and she kills herself, Death with the kiss of death or whatever, and then Death or Rio lets Billy there leave, and says, "Okay, you're good, go." I'm just like, well, why? Like, wouldn't Death just want to kill everybody? I feel like Death should be more malevolent, but it seems more neutral. So
I don't think it's the matter of Death wanting to kill everyone. I feel like Agatha has not necessarily, she made a deal with Death, and Agatha held up her bargain for a period of time until she couldn't, and then Death took what was owed to her, and then Agatha went on this massive killing spree with the road, using the road con, and then in a period of time, it's like time is ticking in terms of all that your life has been extended, right? Time is ticking. Eventually, I'm going to have to get what I'm owed. and Death was like, "I've come to collect," and she said a little bit more time and said she's going to do the con again. So Death's like, "Okay, you're going to do the con." Doesn't end up killing anyone, particularly outside of one person, right? She doesn't. She's only responsible technically for one person's death.
Which one?
Lorna Wu's daughter.
She gets her kill, but that's because she's possessed.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, but that's like, I guess. But she was going to. She was like her plan was to kill them, get her to attack her, and then to take their magic and kill them. That was her plan originally.
At the beginning of the road, but as the road, she was like, "Let's see how it goes," though.
And then, and then Billy creates this, which I think was interesting. Like that twist I didn't see coming. Where this isn't real. This is all like kind of another WandaVision type construct.
Because he's got her like reality manipulation powers too, right?
Right. I think the Billy episode where the car accident and all that happening was pretty interesting for me. I was like, okay, this is like an interesting way to like bring that, because I knew like this particular version of Billy and Tommy are not real. They never were real. They were all within that Westview sort of or Eastview. Was it Eastview?
Westview construct.
Westview. Yeah, it was like they were like they were never real in the first place. Do we see Boner? Ralph Boner, was he in this too?
Yes, he does show up in this.
Yeah, he did show up.
Ralph Boner. He's in that same episode. I think traditionally episode 4, where the Revelation episode, where we kind of see the quote unquote twist, and
that's where it starts to get good for me.
He meets him in a parking lot. So with Billy's boyfriend. Maybe Hulkling. People are saying it could be Hulkling.
Oh, like Hulk's son?
No,
he's a Skrull and Kree hybrid.
This is great. I love it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, David.
No
I do try to keep it together.
It's my life, man.
It looks like a wonderful life, David.
I don't mind it. Hey, honey.
So great.
The witch is.
She wants to hear the people.
Yes.
She wants to hear where the people talk.
Oh yes, that's a song. That's the Little Mermaid. That's right.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yep. Well,
I enjoy this
piece, maybe.
Sorry?
Should we rate this show, maybe?
Sure. Like you keep going, Jaemeel. I'll get that ready.
We're gonna prepare to wrap things up, but I just want to say that watching a great landmark of television is you watch it and you have preconceived notions of what you're watching, and then if the writing is strong and especially the characters are well developed and take you on a journey, you can watch that same piece of medium from a new perspective, understanding the true intent of the characters' motivations and thought processes, and rewatching the show and how the little things that they do, right, that Agatha does, even Patti LuPone's character, what they do is so interesting. And I strongly advise anyone that hears me to rewatch the show, understanding the ending of the show. All right. So let's rate this thing.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm going to go see my niece after this. So I'm excited to see her.
That's good.
Yes, she's not as enthusiastic.
I have wild children.
Well, like she's 12 now, so she's a little bit too cool for school. But I still love her.
Okay, well, Davan, how much would you give out of 10 a score to Agatha All Along?
See too.
Davan?
Wow, I really did give Echo a high rating, didn't I?
Yeah.
You gave it a 10.
No, I didn't. I gave it an 8.5. I mean, that seems a bit high at this point. But I would give Agatha probably a 9.
9. Okay, Jaemeel.
First off, I would like to give Deadpool an 8.5.
Okay, noted.
Okay. Agatha, I would give a 9 as well.
I'm also gonna give it a 9. I think I liked it just as much as Deadpool and Wolverine. I was trying to decide if I liked it more. I don't think I'd like it more necessarily, but I like it about the same. So, which is pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. You know, it was interesting. It got my mind going. What more can you?
I'd like to give X-Men 97 a 14.
Well, that's
It's not on the list. Oh no!
it's not in the MCU. It's part of another
Technically,
universe.
it is.
Is it? How is it
No,
technically?
Not yet.
Okay, so he's going to
Not yet.
retroactively have to review it.
Well, I mean, What If might change some things, but we'll see.
Okay. Let's see if
I mean, if you count What If MCU, then I guess it is, because that's all multiverse stuff.
I need to get this Deadpool and Wolverine score. What do you think that has on IMDb?
Oh, it's gonna be high. It's a great movie.
7.7. It's not that high.
What?
To be that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Ridiculous. I
Loki
just watched it again.
Loki did have a score of 9.6 on season 2 specifically. I want to see if
Look at
that's
that.
hold up.
I guess everyone's going to call me the MCU fanboy. Look at that 8.1 rating.
No, it's gone down to 9.2, but that's still pretty high. So
Loki
what's
season.
that?
Loki season 2, 10.0 from me.
You're giving it 10. Yeah, you gave it a 10. I gave it 9.9. Yeah,
Dave tried to be
Pretty great.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was considered very
Oh,
high.
that's an easy 10.
We did include that. That's also not MCU, so we could
There
include
you go. All right,
So
put
that means
X-Men
we
97
can
in
do
there,
Venom.
and I'll
So
give
that
it a
means
14.
Venom's coming up.
No, Sony, we do not lower ourselves to that other than Spider-Verse. We're
No
not
Madam
rating
Web?
Craven. We're not rating Morbius. We're not rating... God, who are they
Madam
going to
Web.
come up with next? We're not rating friggin' Paste Pot Pete. Like, or whatever.
Come on. If they
Actually,
made a-
I'd watch the Paste Pot Pete movie, and I'd watch
You
the
would.
Stiltman movie too. But
You would.
that's about it. We're not rating Spider-Woman. What was it called? Spider-Woman? No, Madam Web.
Which
We're
I
not
could
rating
talk
that.
about. You know what? I think I should dedicate an episode to whatever my podcast endeavor is that I'm not officially announcing yet until it's released. To
Yes.
Madam Web, a Madam Web episode.
I think you said a 14, Davin.
Yeah, 14. Yeah, and that's generous. Like I could go higher.
Okay,
But
Jaemeel,
if you want to see a breakdown as to what exactly Davan means by his 14, you should just check out X-Rated, the X-Men review show,
That's
also
true.
part of the United Federation podcast. So
X-Men 97 has an 8.8 on IMDb. Jaemeel, do you want to give X-Men 97 a score?
woo, I will give it I'll give
Jubilee, Abscissa.
the Jubilee episode I'll give a 10, but I'll give it a 9.
All right.
Dave, you giving it a 7?
Oh, wow.
That Genosha episode doesn't sit well with me.
That was like the best one.
Nah. What is that called? Remember It?
Remember it.
Yeah, that was the best one.
Not my favorite episode of the series, but I
Was
wasn't
it
on.
because of what happens at the end of that episode?
No, not quite.
It just seemed quick to you. It all happens pretty fast, but
It was a little much for me, but
that happened in the comics. That's what a day still talked about by mutants to this day.
Yeah, I guess the execution on it didn't quite work for me. But I did enjoy the show overall. I think maybe
Not
I
7.0 says otherwise. Oh wait, hold on. Stop the presses. Sam. Hi guys.
Little late, Sam. Where were you earlier? No.
Sam, it's been a while. I hope you're doing well.
Well, I got to go do a puzzle, fellas. A dinosaur.
okay. Well, so what time are you doing this?
9, my
9?
time. 8, your
Your
time.
8. I might be around.
All right.
Well, everyone, thank you for
Toronto will win.
And look forward to more Sashir Zamata. Is that her name? Zamata?
Sashir Zameda.
yes.
That's Jennifer
She's-
Kale. She'll be
yeah,
back. Teamed with Man Thing. It'll be great.
Yeah.
which is interesting. That whole like Midnight Sun, Dark Universe version of it, Man Thing, like that's so interesting. Moon Knight. I wish we got more of it.
What
Yeah,
about
me too.
Blade? Where's Blade?
There's only never gonna be one Blade.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, I guess
Right.
we'll get out of here.
All right. See you later, everybody. Remember, the MMMS wants you. Oh, am I supposed to do it?
Oh, I was pointing.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.